something important, that the message has gone to the world that this is, one place, this is one country which considers the whole planet as one single unit. And from that perspective, we have to look at things, not having war between two countries and so on and so forth. So it's something. It's high time for that. Yeah.
Professor Rajkumar, my question is,
India to equally be committed to those areas, and if our auditing firms have to be questioned and their role has to be strengthened, that's part of the responsibility that the government is undertaking. In fact, it's absolutely critical that we cannot have a fertile business ecosystem unless and until we have ethics and transparency deeply embedded in our economic architecture. And if you see, for the last several years, there is a strong emphasis on good governance, ethical governance, and transparency and accountability in governance. And that is the way we will proceed forward.
if I take it a little further and probe you a little further, the government auditing is also being questioned by Ramesh.
Engagement on some of the most important issues facing the future of commerce and management education. Please.
Thank you very much for talking very ethically and spiritually and giving us, the all values of universities. We agree to those, postulations. But my question goes, if you have to develop as a great country with $1 billion and $1 trillion economy, the moot point is the innovation. And for innovation, there are countries like Japan, South Korea, they are doing exceedingly well. And our universities, forgive me for saying so, we fall 142 universities. In the World Index, we are 142 number. And you have not invited any universities from Europe, Japan, where right from child education to university educations, they are wonderful people and they do a lot of innovations, whereas we are still lacking behind and our university doesn't stand anywhere. So if we can muster some of the, ingredients from them, like nice universities or others, Oxford universities or any other universities which has got certain names in world over. So I think blending those universities with your, decent and very eminent universities, we can get a better future for country. So what's your take on the subject when you have only invited PSUs in the government, and we all know, less said the better, PSUs are PSUs. So we are not getting something innovative, diving into the innovative and getting some, treasure out of it. So take your subject.
So first of all, let me quickly respond to one important point you mentioned about innovation. Let me say this, remind this, because sometimes when we are in India, we may end up becoming far more critical of our own country. But let me tell you this, today we are at the global leadership of innovation in space technology. India has had a successful mission to Mars and Moon, and both these missions were successful at the fraction cost. We spent approximately $75 million for each of these missions. Hollywood movies, including Gravity and Interstellar, have spent more than $120 million for each of these fictitious movies. So let me remind ourselves that India is providing global leadership on frugal innovation and have transformed the landscape of space technology. Indian scientists are global leaders and have made transformative impact and are able to democratize that technology. When it comes to vaccination,
you took 32 years to make a cryogenic engine.
But I need to respond to you because you made a point about the growth and development of research in India, and you should listen to that. The second point, vaccination. When the entire world was facing a global health crisis, Not only we provided leadership in the manufacturing of that vaccine, but we didn't stop at it. We vaccinated the entire country, and we provided vaccination for so many developing countries across the world who simply would never have had access to those vaccination because of intellectual property rights and a strong pharma lobby which will never allow such vaccines to be available for these countries. Third, Indian contribution in peacekeeping has been phenomenal. Wherever there have been issues relating to peace and security, we have responded to it. Even in the current crisis that we are facing, be it in Israel or in Russia, India has provided leadership. So I think let us be fair and tempered when it comes to looking at India's contribution. Now let me address your question on universities. At the dawn of Indian independence in 1947, we had 20 universities. Today, we have 1,000 plus universities. Our gross enrollment ratio was barely 8%. It's now nearly 30%. We have been able to educate and significantly empower our young people. The entrepreneurship culture is so deeply embedded that the unicorns that are emerging in India is simply extraordinary. The national education policy has envisaged a timeline and a framework for how we are going to move forward. There is significant investment that has been made. You talk about rankings. I can give you data. In the last 5 years alone, the Indian representation of universities in both Times Higher Education as well as QS World University Rankings has dramatically increased. We are a 75-year-old country as far as our growth and development since independence. We are thousands of years of old civilization. It is only fair to assess us on when we started and how far we have come. In fact, the Honorable Prime Minister clearly has articulated a vision for Viksit Bharat 2047 when he talks and has challenged us to dream and envisage that new India where we can address all these issues. We have not shied away from our problems. We have to address. We need to make our universities better. We need to focus on research. We need to do all of that. But it's also important for that we need resources. And if you look at all these countries you mentioned, Germany, China, Japan, United States, UK, they are all very significantly developed countries. Their GDP is much greater. So if India has to become a player in that league, we need to improve our economic situation. That's why the $5 trillion economy and the 30 trillion aspiration. That also means that the commerce and management education and the financial ecosystem that we need to develop need to be addressed as well.